Okay, it's called Café Anyway. Welcome to the show that's called Café Anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Oh, wait, it's called Mike's Daily Podcast. But we're at Café Anyway, somewhere in PodCastro Valley, the last place on earth in the land of Ameritopica, and it is episode
Mike's Daily Podcast
3296. It's Mike Matthews here in California, where the sun is shining in my eyes and in my ears, and I'm singing to you and wondering how I'm going to keep living in this state because the prices are through the roof. Holy cow! So crazy with the gas prices and everything.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I'm sure you've located where your local Costco is to get the gas, so
Mike's
it's less expensive.
Daily
This is wow.
Podcast.
We were already just teetering. We were teetering. And then world events. And then here we are. So I guess my point is I'm glad I'm not a freshman in college. That's a lot of debt to start your life with. The incoming college freshman will rack up an average of $43,000 in student loans by the time they graduate. $43,000. If you add in a lack of jobs, rent that costs, let's say, $3,000, the cost of food, entertainment, and launching is getting to be a burden. And that is the other thing. It would be weddings are costly. They've always been costly. The cost of a spring wedding this year is about $36,000. 3630. The median wedding, what most people actually spend, will be around $18,000. The higher end, let's see, if you live in like San Francisco or New York City or Los Angeles, $85,000 plus. But let's say afterwards you want to raise a child. The average cost for that is about $303,000. A little bit more than that.
And here's today's podcast picture.
We'll round it up to $304,000. But the picture is not of me as a child, even though that is cute and funny. And oh, look, it was the 60s. A little bit of the 70s. More so the 70s. I was born right at the end of the 60s. So, hey, it's cute to see young Mike and probably young you as well. But no, the podcast picture is not of that. It is of my wonderful cat, Patches the cat, the feral cat. We were celebrating, of course, the free feral cat spay day. The late great Basil the Boxer would have enjoyed Pat. He might have met Patches. We don't know. Possibly. They were alive at the same time, so he probably would have said all that to him. To Patches the cat. But see that picture at mikesdailypodcast.com. Yes, this past Monday, we were not on. We took the day off in honor of the big holiday that was happening. On what was Monday? Hello. It's the 27th. That's right. And the 27th, I can't believe we're almost in May. Why is it? Possibly by the time you listen to this, you will be in May.
There's no evidence of that. I've not heard of it before, but...
Yeah, it was Feral Cat Spay Day. That is the evidence that we have. And also Morse Code Day. And that is how you spell out Morse Code Day in Morse code. In my mind.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. How sweet.
That was the other thing. The very sweet World Tapir Day, the animal that looks like a cross between a pig and an elephant. That's what all those days we took. There was a reason why we took off Monday. But okay, so you want to raise a child. I understand. You want to be a parent. They say we are running behind as far as a country of.
You just don't do that, Mr. President. It isn't cool.
I don't know if it's the president's fault. I don't know if you can blame him on this, but the whole fact that we're not producing the birth rate has gone down considerably. Some people blame the GLP-1 drugs for that because it reduces your appetite for food and other things. The average cost of a child for over 18 years will be the what? Over 18. Oh, the average cost over 18 years. The average annual cost. It's about $17,000 a year, basically.
That's enough. Put down the mic.
I know. You don't want me to talk about this, but that's okay. The annual cost for the first 5 years will be about $30,000. And then the next 13 years after that will be about $12,000 a year annually. So about $30,000 annually the first 5. And then if you get past that, it's a little bit less. It's like less than half for the next 13 years annually. Hawaii, by far, is the most expensive state. Apparently, over 18 years, it will cost you $413,000.
Awesome.
Wow. California is a little bit over average, even though we're at number 4 with the most expensive state for raising a child over the child's first 18 years will be about $312,300. But the cheapest place is where I used to live, Alabama. About $213,000. Good job, Alabama.
5, 4,
Whoa!
3, 2, 1.
Look who's showing up right now.
Hi
This
there.
is amazing.
This is Winona Ryder.
Hi.
And you're listening to Mike's Daily Podcast.
I am doing it.
He's talking to you from Café Anyway in podCastro Valley. I sure could use a cup of coffee.
I will get
Mike,
you one.
Can I get a cup of coffee?
You sure may. Just hang on. Oh, there it is. There's the pot, and I'm pouring it for you, and there you go. You're welcome. I had no sound effects for any of the things. You're just going to have to take my word for it. If you're watching the video, which is only up for a day at mikesdailypodcast.com, you'll see that I did all that. Nah, I didn't do any of that. As we go outside of Café Anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in podCastro Valley, the last place on earth, in the land of Ameritopica.
Anyway,
Café Anyway. There might be more kids, though. There might be. I went total Kermit the Frog there, which is not unusual for me. Because of the Iran war, the producer of a device that is
He forgot his latte.
well, no, certain things, when things go on between two consenting parents that are married and want to bring in children into this world, they need to do something. You may or may not know. Maybe you've had that class in school. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But there is a company that makes something that prevents that from happening. And because of the war, prices for this will go up. So expect a lot of kids named Sabrina and Justin in about 9 months. Sabrina Carpenter and Justin Bieber? Is that? I guess because of all the news about them lately? Well, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. The thing is, Carex is going to raise their prices for what they make 30% due to supply chain disruptions. All right, and I think we're done talking about that. But yes, so we've talked about getting married, then having kids, then the thing that's supposed to prevent you from having kids, that's going away. And then let's say the kids grow up and get into college.
we have a knight who say
And they join the Knights Who Say Neat Club at school. I didn't join that club at my school because they didn't have one. Joined the radio club, worked with Sean Hannity for a little bit as he was just getting started in radio. I talked to him twice. That's all maybe 3 times. Yeah, we did have a conversation once in the record room. That's right. Because he was painting the record room. All the vinyl records. He wasn't painting the vinyl records, I don't think.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
And then I helped that lady up and then I said, what? How much am I paying for school? Well, way less than what they are paying for now. Average 4-year price for a private school, including tuition, fees, housing, and food. Let's see, at 4-year in-state public college, the total cost is $102,000.
Alexa, stop!
Let's see. The scholarship sounds better than debt. $6 billion in scholarships are awarded to college students each year. Around 1 in 5 Gen Z students search for scholarships on TikTok at least once a week. Students desperate for funding are doing this, and that's making them more vulnerable to scams. Roughly 1 in 3 students who used TikTok to find scholarships believe they encountered misleading content.
What in the world was that about?
The recent law changes have made federal student loans more restrictive, including fewer repayment options and stricter rules for debt forgiveness. So it has become much more, let's see, around 1 in 5 Gen Z students search scholarships on TikTok. They're on TikTok all the time, so let's see. Oh, okay, that's right. For 2025 to 2026 school year, the average price for a private nonprofit college in tuition, fees, housing, let's see, and food, that is $60,920, up from $58,500 the prior year. So up about $2,000. And then at a 4-year in-state public college, the total cost is about $25,850 is what it's saying there on CNBC's website. Tacky. That's what some people think about that website, I guess, that it's tacky. So what are you going to do?
Motivational speeches on Facebook and Instagram. Those things are so annoying. Hey guys, I just want to talk about goal planning today. I write down my goals every day.
A motivational speech. That might be what you need. Just don't go to YouTube because they are annoying. But that's that. Okay, so then perhaps after you've been married and you have a house and then you get divorced. Hopefully not divorced.
And then all of a sudden the man behind me leans forward and says, "Hang on to your seat."
Hang on to your seat.
And he ruined the whole thing for me.
Or let's say you're even looking for a house. Spring housing market is actually showing some life. Mortgage rates have sunk to 6.35% and home buyers are jumping back in. Last year at this time, the 30-year fixed was 55 basis points higher. Applications for a mortgage to purchase a home rose 10% for the week in mid-April. Refinance demand rose 6% and was 52% higher than 1 year ago. What is your problem? Outside of Café Anyway, somewhere in podCastro Valley, the last place on earth in the land of Ameritopica, look who is here. Hello, Mike Matthews and Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. Mike Matthews, I want to live in a house. Houses are so cool, and they have roofs and everything, Mike Matthews. They're cool until they leak. I lived in a duplex in Ventura, California.
What are you, nuts?
No, it was a nice area, downtown Ventura. And there was a leak that would happen when it rained, and the water would come through the lamp in the kitchen, and it would drip down. I'm thinking, now is that safe? Like, if the water, first off, how is that light still on? How did that light not get shorted by the water going through it? And then do I get like a little bolt of electricity that's in the water droplets that are falling down? And oh yeah, I got to put a bucket in the middle of the kitchen. So all of that was wonderful and painful and annoying in many ways. But you know, we deal with what we have to deal with, I guess, is what we do. And why do I bring that up? Because something interesting came across my desk in the world of communicating and podcasting and the radio business in which I work in. And it was talking about the Artemis II. It was a really big deal in Florida, writes this person. Their name is, let's say it's, does he even put his name on?
America elected Donald Trump.
Oh, it's Dennis.
And yeah, the Russians helped.
Or maybe it's Denise, one of the two. Okay. The Russians didn't help with Artemis II. They were probably watching like,
that's in the sky. We used to put monkeys in those usually.
They did. They had a monkey. No, they had a cat, didn't they? Oh, they put some poor animal in one of their spaceships that they threw out into space. The launch of Artemis 2 was a really big deal in Florida. After all, it was the first crewed flight beyond low Earth orbit since the Apollo program, before most of us were even in high school. Now, they estimate that almost 500,000 folks watched in person from the Space Coast. The launch could be seen in backyards and roadways all the way from Jacksonville to West Palm Beach throughout Central Florida.
Now, of course, we only take Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency because we've all decided centralized banking is rigged, so we trust more in fly-by-night Ponzi schemes.
Not a fan of crypto, but that's maybe in the future because we'll have more faith in fly-by-night Ponzi schemes. Everyone was talking about it. Watching it lift over the Atlantic reminds you how special the place really is, said one person. Everyone was talking, that's the soundtrack to Common Ground, and that's the point. You cannot go wrong talking about what everyone is talking about on your podcast or on the radio. And it's a good idea to have real news too, apparently.
You are fake news.
Fake news.
Because there's no such thing as fake news. Or maybe there is, and he found it. No, unless he's saying the news, then is it fake news? Or is it real? Can we trust him? Do you trust anyone? That's the question. You got to start trusting people at some point. You can't be, I don't know. If you're suspicious of everything and everyone, then you come up with the conspiracy theories, then you're never leaving the house, or you are with some nice thin metal sheet over your head. What's that called? Tinfoil? Yeah. Do they make that anymore? No. Okay. One other interesting thing.
I want to put a disclaimer for a blanket apology for any yelling I might have done. I had some issues to work out.
Oh, that's okay. We forgive you if you get a little angry and you have to work through some issues. That's what we have, issues. Most of us, because we're human. Humans have issues. And then when we get colds, we need tissues, paper. But it's more important in let me zip through all this stuff he's talking about, music formats and stuff that's not interesting. But he does say that sports stations will never have fans that aren't also sports fans. Country stations never have fans that aren't also country music fans. I think I'm understanding what he's saying. Unless there's something else we have in common, we connect with people who interest us. We have fun with people who know how to have fun. We bond with people who believe what we believe, but our deepest relationships are with people who have shared our pain. That's the thing about Common Ground. That was a quote from Roy Williams. It could simply be a once-in-a-lifetime rocket in the sky. That could be your greatest opportunity to connect with most people. Let's just say if you're on a radio station like I am on cameraradio.org, 1013 in the Ventura County area, every Monday through Friday at 5:30 in the morning. Very, very early. You have to use a magic spell to wake up that early, I think. It's what did. But yes, that's right, Chely Shoehart. So thank you for bringing us your wonderful snow globes. Mike Matthews, what were we even talking about? I mean, it kind of went off into some kind of other weird land, Mike Matthews. Yeah, I got a little off from what I was at. But we love your snow globes, Chely, and keep making them. Yeah, okay. And they'll keep exploding and being a hazard to people. But that's okay, Mike Matthews. Look who else is here. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman.
All right, Mike. Take care. Thank you. Good to see you again.
And this is John Deere, the engineer. Why does everyone leave whenever Floyd the Floorman shows up? Right now. I don't know. People just, they don't know how to deal with him and that pure optimistic nature of his. But, and people are, they just avoid it by saying dilly dilly, I guess. But listen, I know some of you may have points of view that the rest of you don't exactly agree with. Sometimes you get calls like this, for example.
You bum, you louse, you good for nothing. Answer the phone. What do you do all day?
Or maybe you don't answer the phone, but you maybe you want to call me. I am your neighbor. Lend me some sugar. 510-228-4640. 510-228-4640 is the number that you can call. And I will chop some broccoli for you. And you know, some people have strong opinions about what is happening in the Middle East. And one writer by the name of Hugh Hewitt said this: Americans must worry that something akin to Munich 2.0 looms. I caught the beginning of this and said in my mind, I don't remember this in history. What's he even talking about? So I read further. He says, 2026 cannot become as infamous as 1938. Munich refers to the summit on the eve of World War II, when European leaders appeased Hitler and British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain returned from that summit boasting infamously about peace in our time. The whole world knows what a victory over Iran looks like. President Trump should settle for nothing less than Iran's abandonment of nuclear enrichment forever, the return of the so-called nuclear dust after when Iran was bombed, the nuclear material was turned to dust, and Hugh is saying to return that. An end to ballistic missile production in Iran, an end to support for the terror proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis, and the people of Iran must have their basic human rights restored. That's what Hugh is saying. And, you know, I used to work at a radio station in Thousand Oaks, and our transmitter burned down. There was a big fire in Thousand Oaks. I think it was 1992, somewhere in there. So the transmitter was burnt down, but the radio station still asked me to come by and hang out at the radio station. I don't know, as a security guard. Just in case they were able to fix it and could bring it back on. And as I was sitting there waiting for that to happen, I would listen to other radio stations, and I was listening to a station in Los Angeles, an AM station that was playing Hugh. He was on the air, and he was taking calls, and I called in and talked on his show, and he asked me for a report from Thousand Oaks, and I said, "Oh, you can still see the fire up on the hill." Years later, I met him very briefly, but I had forgotten that had happened, so I did not bring that up. Isn't that weird? You meet someone that's kind of famous and you forget to tell them the one thing it would have been perfect to tell them. It happens. Hugh wraps it up by saying, and I guess he was a speechwriter for Nixon back in the day, Trump's place in history depends upon his resolve right now, as does stability for the entire region. He says it's not too much to say that the next many decades for the whole world depend on the president's resolve this next week and the week after that. We cannot have another Munich. So a bit of a history lesson and a bit of a look on where we are in these times. And now a sound effect.
Poppy needs that sticky icky for his glaucoma. Yeah.
I don't know if I need that right now. I do need a sip of this fantastic root beer that we have sometimes brought to me.
In the very simplest way, the simplest definition of the word fellowship is two fellows in a ship.
Yeah.
Y'all will get that. I was slow like that too.
Fellowship, got it. Thank you for doing that.
Nuts! They're nuts! They know nothing!
Yeah, it's a little harsh to say that about him, but thank you for showing some fellowship with me today on the show. Mike's Daily Podcast outside of Café Anyway.
Didn't go quite as planned. Watch here.
No, not really. But if you do want to watch here, you can go to mikesdailypodcast.com and see me choking and seeing how this all panned out. And listen now to this very wise man who we lost just last year, who had some very profound things to say. And here he goes right now saying it.
See, because the people who are loud and confrontational and all, they don't have any problem speaking their mind. That's what they do. They speak their mind whether you want to hear it or not. But it's the other people who need a voice, and they need an advocate. And if we love one another, we can learn to advocate for one another. And say, I'm always expressing what I think, but I haven't heard from you on this. Well, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Meetings would go better if somebody stopped and asked the folk who are sitting around the table quiet, what do you think about this? You haven't said much. Let's hear what you're thinking. Because sometimes the best wisdom comes from the person who's reluctant to speak. Sometimes those still waters run deep. It's the folk making all the noise that, okay, we've heard from you. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. But now let's hear from somebody else.
Oh, wow. I hear governors yelling at each other, potential governors or wannabe governors yelling at each other. One of those guys is going to, and a lady, might win. That's crazy. What do you think about all that? Here's the number to call.
Call Mike at the Café Anyway hotline. Area code 510-228-4640.
With all things having to do with Mike's Daily Podcast, we go to the mainframe and hear from A-Frame. Thank you for listening.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye.